So the Friends, the latest camming device from Wild Country, seems to have got the whole climbing world in a bit of a frenzy because they are the originals and now they're just better than ever. But I want to take you through a bit of history as well, because we're quite close to the history of Wild Country. And I've got an OG here, the original, and I've got last year's version, and we've also been testing out for quite a long time the samples of the new ones. So before I tell you why the new Friends are absolutely awesome, I want to give you a little bit of history about Friends themselves, and particularly Wild Country, the brand. So sometime in the mid-70s, Ray Jardine in Yosemite in America was trying to figure out ways to climb parallel cracks, because all the wedges and pitons they were using and nuts really didn't work on the totally parallel cracks. So that legendary climber came up with the idea of a camming device, this guy. But he wasn't really up for setting up a business and making Friends themselves, so he spoke to a legendary climber, the late great Mark Valance, and he set up a company called Wild Country. Some of these prototypes were getting passed around, and all the climbers get going, hey, can I have a go with your climbers' friends? Hence the name stuck, because they really helped you get up the cracks and you had a little bit of faith in your friends. And when they first got released into the UK, they came out with quite a bang. So some of you viewers may remember Tomorrow's World on BBC, and it was quite amazing. Mark himself climbed up this amazing crack here at Millstone called Dexterity, and he showed the world what they could do by chucking himself off the route and took quite a big fall, and this guy held. It was quite a shock, I think, for climbers, because it really revolutionised what you could do. You could climb cracks really quickly and efficiently and just shove cams in and keep going. And it literally has changed the game ever since. Now, the history goes a little bit deeper than that for us, particularly here at Outside. So Outside is in the Peak District, and it was set up by my parents, but alongside with Mark Valance himself. So Wild Country and Outside, that's our guys now, the family business, were the same company for a little time. And so we've always loved Wild Country. We trust them. I remember their factories, I remember them being in Tideswell. They're not anymore, sadly, but they're still making incredible gear. And I just use Wild Country gear all the time, always have done. The Friends originally came out with a rigid stem just like this one, and they were great for placing them. It weren't great sort of when you're going around the edges, particularly on the gritstone. So then came out flexible Friends. Dad was actually involved with the process of designing the flexible Friends, and I remember him talking all about it. Quite exciting times, I think. They just went out and lobbed on them and hoped it worked. One of the things that made Friends so brilliant and had such a good holding power was the angle that Mark figured out, and that's 13.75. That's what the camming angles of these cams are. And that still stands true to be one of the strongest angles you can get for cams, and it's still in the current Friends they're making now. There's of course been lots of various iterations since then. I've been using these ones for absolutely years now. They're still going strong. This is not the new one. This is the sort of current or slightly older one now. It's still got that 13.75 camming angle, but they moved to dual axle, so you could actually get a much bigger range and a smoother action. Now, I must admit, I absolutely love these. I've used them for years. I'm going to carry on using them if I'm honest. And I kind of thought, how are you going to improve on it? You've got a thumb loop, you've got an extendable sling, really smooth action, amazing holding power. What's to improve? Yet the new ones are even better. Now, all the things I love about the one I've been using for years stay on this, but there's some amazing improvements. Somehow they've made it a little bit lighter. I think the colour is even a little bit cooler. You've still got that amazing action, the 13.75 angle. The hollow axles here, dual axles, saves a lot of weight in the head, so some of them can feel pretty hefty, not this guy. So the thing I really loved about Friends was the fact that you got a thumb loop and you got the extendable sling, and that stayed on the latest Friend as well. I personally just got really used to having a thumb loop. I found that it was less easy to drop, particularly if you're winter climbing and you've got big gloves on. That was really useful. And of course, the extendable sling was always great as well. It's not as simple as you can save on quick draws because you can make it longer. What I actually really like about that, and it's particularly a gritstone problem I found, is that when you're putting a cam in the rock, particularly in a horizontal break, sometimes your carabiner would be running over the edge, and one, that's not really strong for the carabiner, and it would create awful rope drag. So just that little bit of extension really helps the rope flow and not wear that carabiner out on the edge, which is not good for the rock, and it's also not good for the strength of the carabiner. I must admit, if I generally want to really extend these, like on an alpine route or in winter or something, I might well just clip straight into both of them with an actual big extender, or of course you can really extend it by doing both of those things. And that leads me on to one of the major changes of the new Friend, because the sling has gone and we've now got the amazing flow cord. So one of the big advantages of the flow cord over the old sling was the fact that it was a seamless core mantle. So what that means is you don't have to have any of those really hard bar tacks, which sometimes made extending and putting away the old sling versions a bit of a problem. You seem to be able to grab this absolutely anywhere and it will always extend and absolutely have no problems and get tangled at all. And I think that's a major advantage. This flow cord is actually a combination of nylon and ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. Bit of a mouthful, I got it out. But basically that makes it much more resistant to cuts and much better with abrasion, and still keeping that really soft but easy to manipulate and extend lovely bit of cord. And inside that flow cord is actually a red wear indicator. So if you see any of that coming through, it's time to replace your slings or maybe your cam. The cam lobes themselves have been milled and polished, so that makes them actually grippier than anodized aluminium by about 8 to 10%. And it certainly feels particularly grippy, and it gets actually better the more sort of fluffy and worn it gets. Another thing that's really nice is it's actually really easy to change the cam wires yourself, and you can actually buy those as a spare part. I must admit, with these sort of double axle cams, they don't sort of break and fray as much as the single axle ones always used to, but it's nice to know you can just do that at home yourself. Like I've already mentioned, we've been incredibly lucky to have a usable sample set for quite a while now, and Graham in the Rock Room, one of the most active trad climbers in the UK apparently, has been giving them a right hammering, and they are standing up really well because he can trash anything. And sometimes he's quite hard to get to be really enthusiastic about gear, but he was really enthusiastic about these, and he thought they were some of the best cams, if not the best cams he's used. Just a quick pointer, the actual slings we've been using and the test ones is slightly different colour to the new ones. I actually think the new ones, actual proper ones, feel a little bit nicer as well. And here we have a new addition. We've actually got a 0.3 size, which they didn't used to make in the old one. So this is my new little friend. And this time round, their big guy, the number 4, has a spring-loaded cam locking device, however you want to call it. It's actually really cool. That means it can rack sort of much smaller like this on your harness, much easier to get off and not in the way. But when you're ready to go, kapow, it's out, easy to use. Now what I really like about this as well is this little device here. You can actually do it one-handed quite easily, so if you want to put it away while you're climbing on the route, you can do. Really, really good idea. Works really well. So here you can see the previous model that I've loved and used a lot over the last few years, and the brand new version. A lot of the things are incredibly similar. What I think is quite interesting is the new one is lighter, even though I'm sure the cam lobes are actually a little bit thicker, and they're certainly a little chunkier, which is cool for more holding power. Of course, if it's lighter, why wouldn't you? So the main thing that does change is this cord sling here versus the older sling, which, if I'm honest, I didn't have too many problems with, so they are great, but this is definitely an improvement, and it's a really lovely bit of kit. So I am going to continue using mine, but you know, if I'm going to get a new set, I will absolutely go for the new friend. So if you can't already tell, I'm quite sentimental about Wild Country gear. It's sort of been a part of our family and our business all our life, and I've trusted them my whole life, and it's worked absolutely brilliant. Look at the old version, still going strong. The new thing is an absolute thing of beauty, and I can't wait to get a set myself. I really hope you found this video useful. We've got loads of other things on our YouTube channel, so maybe give us a like and subscribe if you get a chance. But if you can, come in the shop, check it out on the website. We've got loads of good gear, loads of people who like to talk about it. Come and see Graham and see what routes he's been using them with, because he really does trash his kit and they're going really well for him. Okay, thanks very much. I don't think I've ever said thanks very much at the end before. It's a bit weird, wasn't it? Quite nice. Thanks for watching.